Welcome, here I am in Excel. I've entered some data, and now I have to make a histogram to see how frequently 19 occurs, or 25, or 12. Now, what are these values? Well, I just made them up, but let's pretend that I took a bag of M&Ms, and this is great. M&Ms, they're my top 3 candy in Excel. That's one of my top 3 favorite software applications. So I've got my M&Ms, right? I dump them on the table, and I measure how much mass each one has. I weigh each one. And that's what this is. This is the mass of each M&M. And the unit I used was grams, so I put that in parentheses. Then I hit enter. Notice that I put the unit up here in the column heading. Oops. Up here in the column heading. Don't put the unit down beside this, the numbers themselves. Here's why. If you tell Excel to take 8 and multiply it by 2, what do you get? 16. But if I type a G for grams into that cell, well, now Excel doesn't know how to multiply the letter G by 2. So leave your data as just numbers, no letters. See how my column heading here is spilling over to the next column? We need to make this A column wider, and here's a trick. Between the A and B column headings, here's the A, here's the B, there's this separating line right there. Double click it, and the A column automatically widens to fit this text. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is calculate the average of these values. So somewhere over here, I'll type average mass in grams, and then I hit enter to save what I've written in the cell. Then I go between the H and the I column headings, and I double click so that there's enough room for this text. Now I could go calculate on my calculator the average, but there's a much faster way. Have Excel do it. To tell Excel, hey Excel, I want you to make a formula. First you type equals. That's the very first thing we need. Now there's a fancy thing Excel has. It's called the average function. Type the word average. And then Shift 9, open parentheses. The way we get the open parentheses is by clicking Shift 9 on the keyboard. Now we're ready to type out the numbers, but don't type them out. Use your mouse, click on the 19, the first data cell, and click and drag all the way to the bottom. Let go when you reach the last cell, and then you can close your parentheses with Shift 0. Hit Enter to save this in the cell. And there we go. Now that's too many decimal places. So if you look at the top where all these different options are, choose the Home tab, and then in the Number tab, there's this button for increase or decrease decimal places. I want to decrease the number of decimal places, and if you click the wrong one, you can just keep clicking until you get to the right number of places. So for my purposes, I'll include 1 extra place beyond the measurements. Okay. All right. Next, I need to know how far off is this 19 from my average from the 21. That's called the residual. It's how far off each measurement is. You calculate the residual by hitting equals. That's how we tell Excel, here comes a formula. And then I'm going to type out 20.9, that's the average. And I need to subtract this value. That's how I get the difference between the two. But don't go type out 19, because if you type 19, then next you'll have to type 18, then 31, and that's going to take a while. Instead of typing out 19, you click on the cell that contains the 19. And now we have what's called a reference, A2. Hit Enter to save your work. Check this out. If you copy this down, the cell reference moves down as well. So the formula is always using 20.9, that's the average every time, it's the same average, but it's always subtracting away whatever number is immediately to the left. That's the power of Excel. So let me undo and show you how to copy and copy this formula down below. In the bottom right corner, well, you click on the cell that you want to copy, And then in the bottom right corner, there's this green box. Click that green box and drag it all the way to the bottom with your mouse. Then let go of your mouse, let go of the clicker on your mouse when you get to the bottom. Okay. Which number is the farthest? Looks like this one. The 8 grams is the farthest away from the average. Next, we need to square each of those residual values. Think of the residual, think of it as like the deviation, right? It's how far off each one is from the average. Now let's square those deviations, those residuals. Residual squared, hit enter. And then I double click between the C header and the D header to fit the text. I'm using a formula, so I type equals first. I click on my residual, I click the cell, don't write 1.9, and then I do Shift 6 on my keyboard. That's how I get the caret button. Shift 6 gives you the caret, and then type 2. So we are raising caret to the power of 2. Then I hit enter on my keyboard. I can click on that cell again, I highlight it, I find the bottom right box, and I copy it to everything below. Wow, that's easy. Next, I need to know if I add all of these squared residuals, what's the sum? Sum of squared, or let's just do residual, whoops, sum of residuals squared. And then I fit my text. All right, is this working? Okay. My computer's running a little slow. Then I hit equals because I'm going to be having Excel calculate something for me. There is another fancy function called the sum function. So type out sum, then open parentheses, that's Shift 9. Click on the first squared residual, and with your mouse, click and drag all the way to the bottom. Then close the parentheses, Shift 0 to get the closed parentheses. Then hit enter. Okay, next I'm going to find the average squared residual. So I take, okay, how many M&Ms did I measure? I started at 2 and I ended at 31 or 30. So that's, you can actually, let me show you. It's 29. See that right there? I had 29. You're measuring the height of each person in your class. So you have like 23 kids in the class or 24. So I type equals, here's the sum, the total squared residual, and I divide by 29, right? No! There's this funny, weird thing in statistics where you have to subtract 1. To get the modified average, maybe we'll call it, you divide by not the total, but the total minus 1. And there's a good reason for this, but it won't really make sense to us. Then we hit enter. It's this funny, weird thing that just never, ever really makes total sense in statistics. But when you're a math major next year in college, you'll understand this. Okay, next we have to square root this, right? This is the average squared value. Like, we took this, how much we were off, we squared it, we found the average, it's still squared. So let's square root it. Right here we do equals, SQRT, open parentheses, click the value, close the parentheses. And now we've square rooted it. That is our standard deviation. On average, how far were we off? It's a weird way to get an average, right? Because we have to square it. Then we take this weird modified average of the squared values, then we square root. But it basically is like a fancy average of how far we were off from the true average of 20.9. Okay, next up we have to create a graph. So how do we make our graph? Well, first highlight the numbers, the original raw data. Click on the Insert tab up at the top, Insert, beside Home. Find this icon under the Charts section. That's the icon for histograms, a statistics chart, and choose the first option, histogram. Okay, pretty fancy, pretty easy. Next, you can double-click the axis, the x-axis here. You can double click that, or you can hit the plus at the top, right? If you select your graph, this plus appears, then, and you select it with the mouse, then click the plus with your mouse, and then hover over axes, hit the right arrow, click on more axis options, and then click on bin width. Click bin width. This is where you get to highlight, hit delete with your keyboard, and experiment. Try a bin width of 1, and then hit enter on your keyboard. Entering saves the changes. Whoa! Let me try a bin width of 2. How about 3? I have to find a bin width that I think is appropriate, and then I'm going to have to justify my selection, right? Why did I use that bin width? So maybe I go with 3.5. So what reason would I have to choose 3.5? You want a good sense. You want to be able to summarize the data. Statistics is all about summarizing the data and putting it into a format like this, right? Look at these numbers. How can someone possibly understand what these numbers mean? But when you see a graph like this, now I start to see some meaning behind it. So, okay, so think about that. You're also going to hit the plus, check the box for axis titles. And here, what's my x-axis? It's the mass of M&M in grams. I click here once to select. I click again to enter the text box. Then you can delete everything in backspace. This is number of occurrences is one way you can put it. Maybe I should capitalize occurrence. Okay. What's my chart title? M&M data? Seems reasonable. All right, not bad. Now there is one final thing that I have to do. I click on File at the top. Click File, File tab. Then click Save As. You might have an option to save it to Documents or the desktop. Let's find Documents, and if you don't see Documents, you can click this Browse button. And then on the left side, you should be able to find Documents. And I'll save this as, my name, standard deviation activity, perhaps 2018. Then I click Save. Okay, I've saved it as an Excel file, but now I need it saved as a PDF. Before you save as a PDF, this is a crucial step. Be sure to follow this step. Click on Page Layout at the top, the Page Layout tab. Then click Print Area and Clear Print Area. As soon as you hit Clear Print Area, you will see these dashed lines appear. See those? So here's what I need to do. I need to make sure I've got everything on one page, right? So let me click and move this down to here. That's good. It's within that first dashed line. That's one page. Then I'm going to click on this stuff, and you can actually right click and click cut. Then find the new destination. I'll put it right here in E. I right click and I do paste. Here's my paste button. Now it messed up my column width, so let me go between E and F, and whoops, find that line between the two column headers, and I double click. Bam. So now I've got, here's the edge of the page, this is inside of the page, my data is inside, and my graph is inside. Excellent. Okay, what else do I need? How about let's put my name right here, just in case it doesn't show up to my teacher anywhere else. And how about my block as well, H block. Okay, and the date, I don't know. You can put a whole MLA heading right here in this random space on the side. That's okay. Oh, look, it formatted the date for me. That's nice. And if you want to put it over on the left, home, left align. All right, next you hit File again at the top left tab. Click Save As. And here's what we're doing differently. Click on, below the file name, click on Excel Workbook. Find PDF from the drop-down. This is crucial. Find PDF. There it is at the bottom, near the bottom. And then click Save. And look at what it has just done. It saved my work, here I am, as a PDF. This is something that I can upload to PowerSchool. My teacher can, read it right there, see it on PowerSchool, and it's a format that will show up. If you post your Excel file to PowerSchool, it will not work, so don't do that. Once you've got this finished, you can open up Firefox, right? And you can do classroom.powerschool.com. You can sign in with Microsoft. You might see an account here, or you can just click Use another account. Type your student password. Type your password. Hit Enter. And you will be logging into classroom.powerschool.com. You don't have to use Firefox. You could use Google Chrome. You could use Internet Explorer. Okay, this is a fake student. Then I click on Class Pages. I choose the class. And I find wherever I'm supposed to turn this in. I click the Hand In button. Okay, I choose a file. And then I find Documents is where I saved it, right? Documents. All right, I scroll down. Where is my file? What did I call it? McGinney Standard Deviation Activity. Choose the one with this icon. That's the PDF file. Don't choose this one. Whoop, that's your Excel file. So don't choose this one. That's the Excel file. Choose this one, the PDF file. Then I click Open. Once the file has uploaded, it will appear right here. You can rename it if you want, and then you click Hand In. Okay, it was handed in. I'm finished. Thanks for watching. By the way, if you want to check to make sure it was handed in, you can click this blue text. You can click View Work, and then you'll be able to see right here, here's what you handed in. If you click this, it will you can click Open, hit OK, and you can open the file to make sure you handed the correct thing in. Yes, this is what I wanted. Okay, thanks for watching.